The body will only repattern if it feels safe to do so. And that's where nervous system work comes in with shadow work. Feminine wounds are not just emotional scars, they're nervous system imprints. And our bodies are an archive for the wounds that we carry with inside ourselves. Something that I've deeply come to know is that the shadow cannot just be prayed away. Because if you just continue to repress it or forget about it, it will play out in really gnarly, unhealthy ways in your life.
Free to be me, free to sing, sweet feathers and let me like a hug.
The Safe to Be Seen podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Darci and Brandon Burke do not claim to be experts. We have no intention to defend our beliefs or impose them onto others. This podcast provides a space to allow for us to share with others what it's like to be us. We desire to share our human journey with others. We advise you to seek professional counsel, therapy, and/or treatment from trained, credentialed, and certified professionals for any emotional, mental, and/or physical conditions you may be experiencing. You love each other, but do you truly see each other? Love is just the beginning. To create deep connection and sacred intimacy, you need more. Truth, presence, the courage to feel. More Than Love is a coaching program for couples ready to move beyond routine, mediocrity, and autopilot and into sacred soul-deep union. Because love isn't lost, it's waiting beneath the noise. Are you ready to reconnect? Send a DM to our Instagram at Safe to Be Seen or click the link in the show notes. Let's bring your relationship back to life. Well, hello, Darci. It is your birthday. I mean, in 2 days, it's your birthday. But by the time this episode airs, this Saturday will be your big life celebration. We're so grateful you were born.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm grateful I was born too.
Happy birthday. We won't make mention of the year, the number.
It's fine.
Oh, okay.
I don't care. I'm 45 years old. I own that.
You look so good.
I own it.
You should definitely own it.
I do. I'm proud of my age.
Yeah, heck
I've
yeah.
earned every single wrinkle. Everyone.
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful you were born and that you are such a beautiful part of my life, our children's life. It's going to be a celebration. I hope you know.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see what you always take such good care of me, my birthday. I don't have to worry about it. So
Well,
I'm excited.
You know, what's interesting is you helped me with that because, I mean, growing up the way I grew up, it was, we got our favorite cake made. We got to pick out our favorite cereal for our birthday,
What
which
was your
really
favorite
fun.
cereal?
It was Captain Crunch berries.
Yes.
Oh my
Just the
gosh.
berries or with the
Well, the mixture of
the mixture? Okay.
of the Captain Crunch and the berries.
It's a favorite.
Because in my house growing up, it was almost exclusively Crispix and Cheerios, like regular good old fashioned Cheerios. We didn't have sugar sweetened cereals,
Same.
but on our birthday, we got to pick out whatever cereal we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom made my favorite cake, which now you make for
Yep.
me. We won't
It's
give
a
away that
special
secret
recipe.
of what that's a special
amazing.
secret family recipe. But
Yeah.
thank you, Mom, for making my favorite birthday cake and for letting me pick my favorite cereal. But other than that, birthdays were not a huge celebration. We didn't throw big parties or,
Mm-hmm.
do anything super fancy. And you, after marrying you, I realized, wow, birthdays are a big deal.
Hell yeah.
You taught me a lot about how to celebrate a birthday the right way.
Good. They should be celebrated. It's a celebration of your life.
Yes.
Yeah. I love celebrating birthdays.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah. And so we are going to go for your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go to one of your favorite places on this earth,
Mm-hmm.
Lake Powell. We're going to go do a
Yes.
Lake Powell trip.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to do a quick day trip. But we're going to take the entire family. All the kids are coming. Well, except for Gracie,
Gracers.
who lives in Hawaii and
Yeah.
can't make it. But I checked the weather. The weather's going to be perfect. It's going to be low 90s. The water's cooled off a little bit, but it's still really nice. So
Thank
it's going to be fun. We're going to celebrate you hard. So
Thank
be ready.
you. I will. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. I I love Lake Powell. I mean, anybody who knows me
Yeah.
knows that I love that place. And it's kind of been, my birthday usually always falls around Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so growing up, my family also went to Lake Powell. And so we would always, a lot of times, Lake Powell. My birthday was spent at Lake Powell growing up. And then after we got married and we got a boat and started going to Lake Powell, that kind of continued on.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just kind of become my place of celebration. And I just have so many genuine, amazing memories of my childhood growing up at Lake Powell. Like when I think of my childhood, Lake Powell is like one of the first memories that always come to me.
Yeah.
We went all the time throughout the summer. And then I had friends in my neighborhood who their families went to. And so I would go with them. And so I remember one summer I spent probably like a total of 4 to 5 weeks at Lake Powell. It's amazing. It's nature, it's sun, you don't have to get ready. You just get to be in a swimsuit all day long.
Yeah.
It's music, it's good food, it's no cell service.
Don't forget the water. The therapy and healing of water, and just, being in that water is such a, I don't know, the temperature is just like, I remember the first time I went to Lake Powell.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't grow up doing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a buddy I think we were in like 8th grade, who went to Lake Powell a lot. And one time when he and his family went, they invited me. And I was like, this water's amazing. It wasn't even cold.
I know.
It's just perfect. It's
the perfect
water.
place. And even like so many of my memories come from like the adventures of like the boat breaking down, the houseboat breaking down, the weather, the scary incidents of not knowing if we'd make it back to our houseboat if we got caught in like a wind or a rainstorm.
Yeah.
And just how we came out of those later on laughing about it. But yeah, just so many precious memories. I love that place, and I'm just so deeply grateful that we have continued to create those memories with our family there.
Yeah,
that was so
We've had
important
some
to me.
great memories there, haven't we? And our kids, I think you've passed on that love for that place. Our kids love going to Lake Powell. It's such a beautiful opportunity to be together and to bond and to be in nature, like you said. And we just have a lot of fun. And you made a good point. Not to be forgotten is that we usually do have some sort of issue or injury.
Yeah.
I mean, most recently, like a few months ago, you were surfing and the board, after you went down, like got depressed down into the water.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when it shot back up, it hit you right below the lower lip and just split you wide open. And we drove you home that very night to get sewed up and put back together. But
yeah, I wasn't gonna let that ruin the trip.
No way. We went right back.
Well, I think I was like, I'm fine.
I know you were. I was like, babe, no, you don't understand. Like, I know I'm just an orthodontist. I'm not like an oral surgeon or anything, but you have a gash in your lip that needs to be addressed. And you're like, nah, I'm good.
We'll just go back after the couple days.
Force you to drive to St. George that night and get sewn up.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to the oral surgeon who literally met us at the office at like midnight to sew me up. That was so nice of him.
Yes.
And then we just slept for a few hours and drove back. Yeah. Point taken. We love Lake Powell.
Yeah. Good times.
Yes. So I'm so excited to celebrate there.
Yeah. Well, today, Darci, I, in addition to just celebrating your beauty and your being alive, your having been born, your birthday, we want to celebrate femininity. We want to celebrate the feminine. And the feminine is a vital part of the work that you do in your practice as a somatic coach and nervous system regulation practitioner, helping women heal the parts of them that deal with their feminine essence. And part of that is the feminine shadow. Can you help us understand better what that means? What is the feminine shadow, and why is it important to understand that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say I dedicate this podcast to the feminine. You know, starting out my practice, I first started just like serving both male and females. And as I've been practicing and just coming to know myself better and my gifts that I offer to people better, I just honed in my practice and my niche just to working with women and the feminine. And they were most of my clientele anyways. But I just have obviously a lot of reverence and love and respect and for the feminine, and understand the wounds of the feminine, and have developed a system to help heal women from patterns and to help them integrate their shadow. And I did that because of born out of my own transformational experience. So I devote this podcast to all the goddesses out there. I see you. You know, when I was during my healing process, which I say process because we're actually always healing. Healing is a lifelong journey. I have not arrived. Nobody ever really arrives. And I've decided to live, to thrive, regardless of what I'm working through. Just realizing it's the course of life. Healing is a lifelong journey, and healing just means you're just continually getting to know yourself better. But one day I was in one of my meditations, the word whole came to me. Whole. And so just came to me randomly. And I Googled like what whole meant in Greek, and it means holos. And that's the name of my practice. And I've developed my entire coaching system and my one-on-one sessions that I do with people around that truth, that you are already whole. And that healing is just unpeeling and unraveling and undoing the patterns that are not you, so that you can reclaim and remember who you are and live fully from the feminine essence that is you. You know, we'll speak about the feminine today, and I just want to recognize that we do use heterosexual language, but feminine essence, feminine and masculine, they're energies. Yeah. They're not gender identities. So I just wanted to name that, whatever energy that you affiliate with. I want to represent that as well. But feminine energy is deeply creative, is deeply intuitive, is deeply nurturing, receiving, love, all of these pure forms of traits that the feminine is. And the feminine wounds are connected to those healthy expressions of those traits. When the healthy expressions of those pure traits cannot be safely expressed, they become repressed, and they form a shadow. And the shadow is just a nervous system imprint, the way that you had to adapt in order to maintain connection or in order to survive. And so, you know, we've spoke about this in, I can't remember if it was the last episode, but in part of our religious experience, it was really difficult to integrate the shadow because the shadow was just seen as sinful. And you were just taught to like pray it away or to like give it to Jesus. And something that I've deeply come to know is that the shadow cannot just be prayed away. Yeah. The shadow, because if you just continue to like repress it or forget about it, it will play out in really gnarly, unhealthy ways in your life. And the shadow just wants to be integrated. And that's where you return back to that whole state, when the shadow is integrated into you and you recognize what it is. It really is just a protective pattern. Yeah. And so the shadow is actually like your greatest gift. The shadow is just waiting to come to light, to be expressed in a healthy way. And when we shame it, or when we ignore it, or when we act like it's not there, where you don't have a shadow, like, one thing I want every woman to know is that every woman has a shadow. And when you can see it as it's just one of your purest healthy traits, just wanting to be expressed in a healthy way, you can develop compassion around it and love around it, actually, of what it really is, just wanting to be expressed in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point about, the effect of religion causing us to bypass the integration of the shadow because it is shamed. It is the parts of us that are deemed unacceptable or morally wrong or sinful, quote unquote, sinful. And so, yeah, it makes it really, really difficult in at least my experience. I'm just speaking from my experience. I'm not speaking for anyone else, but I'm just agreeing with your point that when those shadow aspects of your personality and your consciousness are deemed so bad and wrong and are shamed, how can you integrate them? It makes it really difficult.
Yeah.
All right. So, Darci, what are some examples of some feminine wounds that may result in shadow development?
Yeah. So I just made a list of like common ones that I see. Obviously, there probably is more to add to the list, but these are the most common ones that I see in my practice. I'll just name the wound. We won't get deep into how the wounds are created or expressed or how the shadow is created from them. But the most common wounds I see are, one, the worthiness wound, women not feeling worthy enough. The abandonment wound, not feeling enough. The silence and suppression wound. The body and the beauty wound. The receiving wound. The power and the visibility wound. The relational and the intimacy wound, and the spiritual, divine, and the feminine wound. Those are the most common ones that I see. And they're coming from the feminine in her true essence, not feeling safe to fully express those healthy traits in a safe way.
So they kind of get distorted by the wound into like an unhealthy counterpart of that healthy trait of their essence. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So how do these wounds, how do they show up in the body and in the nervous system, these feminine wounds?
Yeah. So feminine wounds are not just like emotional imprints, emotional scars. Excuse me. They're not emotional scars. They're nervous system imprints. And our bodies are an archive for the wounds that we carry inside ourselves. So the body, I've said this so many times throughout this podcast, and it's the work that I do, but the body holds the story. The body holds the archive of your life. So let's say, for example, the wound of the suppression wound, the wound of not feeling safe to use your voice. The way that might show up in the body is a lump in your throat. Every time you go to want to say something, but you fear abandonment, you fear rejection, you fear judgment, you fear loss, that wound shows up in your body as maybe a lump in your throat. Or it might show up as your body getting overheated or your heart racing. These wounds, the body will always show you where your work needs to be done and where you are not free. And I think this has been a big missing piece when we talk about healing or integrating the feminine shadow, because a lot of times the shadow is just talked about. Let's just journal about it. Let's become aware of it. Let's just name it, which is a part of the process. You need to become aware of your feminine shadow and how that feminine shadow was created. But unless you involve the body, which is where the feminine shadow was actually created, was in the body. It is only through the body then that the shadow can be integrated. And that is through the nervous system, because the nervous system is the driving force, driving the behaviors that stem from the wound. And so what so often I think women like just label as, I have a pain in my shoulder, or I'm just this way, like so much of these feminine wounds that show up in behaviors and patterns, women just label as personality traits.
Yeah.
I'm just an overgiver, or
That's just the way I am.
It's just the way that I am.
Yeah. And isn't it true, Darci, that you can actually see in the body of a person by their posture, by the way they hold themselves, by the way they sit, whether they're, upright and open, or whether they're closed and scrunched down, or hunched over, or like speak to that if you would.
Yeah. These imprints in our bodies, the somatic imprints that wounds leave in our body. And it's because it's part of the work that I do. I can see that clearly, mainly a lot in body posture. Women who carry shame, who don't feel freely expressed, who are people pleasers. Their shoulders are usually caved in, and they might walk a little bit hunched over, a little bit, not just like they're closed off. They're afraid of being seen. And so part of the work is we gently work to like reopen themselves. That's
wild. So they're actually making themselves smaller.
Well, yeah, that's not them consciously doing it. It's their
body is making itself smaller.
Yeah, the body,
like it doesn't want to take up space.
Yeah, the body's expressing that imprint. Yeah.
So as you look at your own life, can you speak to when in your own life did you become aware of your feminine wounds? And what did that look like for you? What did you do about it?
Yeah.
What happened from there?
Yeah. Well, when I, midlife was basically when I started my becoming aware of a lot of my feminine wounding, when I started recognizing what her purest traits and expression really was. And I've spoke to this of like not really having a divine feminine mirror to show me like, this is the feminine. This is how the feminine expresses. I only had a very small sampling of what that was or what that looked like. And so when I started healing and learning more about the feminine and what the feminine really is and how the feminine expresses in the world, I started recognizing my own shadows and my own behaviors related to those shadows. Unfortunately, both of my feminine wounds came from religion. One is my sensuality and my suppression wound, and my fear and like using my voice and speaking my truth and stepping outside the box and just not following the norms that I was told by how I should be, by patriarchy, by culture, by hustle culture, like all these standards out there that tell you how a woman should be and how a woman should look and how a woman should express. I started like really just like letting myself be open myself to really taking a good look in the mirror of like, how was I performing in life? How was I just surviving? What were my initial wounds that led me to behave, that led me to develop patterns? And how are those patterns not serving me in my life? And so healing from like a sensuality wound or healing from the suppression wound. Well, healing from the suppression wound, I would say all wounds, all shadow work, your body has to be in what we call the ventral vagal or a regulated state, because the body will only repattern if it feels safe to do so. And that's where nervous system work comes in with shadow work, because if you're trying to integrate a shadow in a survival state, in fight or flight or shutdown, the body will not integrate, because the body still believes you're in a state of threat. And when the body believes you're in a state of threat, your prefrontal cortex shuts down, and you do not have the capability to think critically, to have choice, to be open to a different way. You're literally just operating from your amygdala, like the emotional center of your brain. And so it's really hard. It's probably, I would say, impossible to repattern in a state of survival. So the first step was recognizing, like, what state am I in, and putting myself in a state of a felt sense of safety. And you can repattern in micro moments, and that's how I did. It was micro moments every day of working with my nervous system and working with the pattern that I was trying to rewire. So, for example, my suppression, my fearing using my voice, my fear in speaking a different opinion, or just putting myself out there to the world. I had to develop a lot of safety within my nervous system, safety to tell other people about the change in my religious beliefs. Safety in, I mean, even like I had developed safety around like going out wearing like what I'm wearing today.
Yeah. Like
that took me time to get there, because I was so worried about judgment. I was worried about, what are people going to think of me? And so I developed routines every day where I would do somatic practices that signaled to my body safety. And then I would practice a different pattern. I would practice using my voice, whether it was you. I mean, I've always felt safe expressing my truth to you, but you were somebody that I could practice with, of voicing what I wanted to say. If it was I needed to say something to a family member or to a friend or online or whatever it was, I practiced it first in the mirror work, practicing saying what you want to express, practicing it first in the mirror. So do something regulating, a somatic practice. I like to do bilateral tapping, deep breathing, a self-containment hug. These tools signal to the body safety, and then you choose a different pattern to practice. And the body doesn't repattern in one day. It's in these tiny micro moments every day where you practice a different way of being in a felt sense of safety. My sensuality wound, that came with practicing safety in my body. And then maybe it was like 20 minutes a day of like moving my hips in a certain way, or wearing something that I felt sexy in, that I felt shame for wearing before. So the first thing I would say is nervous system work. Your body has to have a felt sense of safety in it before it will repattern. And so, yeah, those are the steps that I took to repatterning myself and letting my feminine essence and those pure feminine traits be in full expression.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that part of your own personal journey.
Your state creates your story, and nothing will change until you rewrite the script and elevate the somatic script, so your body can finally call in what's meant for you. In Holos, we identify your blocks and rewrite the somatic story, because patterns live in the body. We install new beliefs so they're anchored, embody new truth, rewrite the subconscious, and shift you from fear and lack into expansion and abundance, in service to the divine feminine. Holos is where you rewrite your feminine story. It's where you anchor the freshest upgrade, the state your next chapter requires, and live from it every single day. If you're ready to stop trying to change your life from the surface and instead shift the body that creates it, apply now at www.holoshealing.info and step into the container that changes everything.
Would you say that most women even recognize or have an awareness that they're carrying these wounds, or do most of them just chalk it up to that's just the way I am?
I would say most people chalk it up to it's just the way that I am.
Mm.
A lot of women that I work with, when they come in, they'll say that. They'll say, this is just how I am. And when I explain to them, no, that's actually just not how you are. Like, it's a survival adaptation. That's not who you truly are. And it usually brings them to tears. And I can understand, because they realize that they have been operating their whole lives from just a pattern that it really, truly isn't them. And, I think with women especially, Bran, like, I hope I explain this the right way, that it doesn't come across the wrong way, but so often women are praised for, she sacrificed her entire life for her family. That is praised in women. It's praised in culture that, she, like at funerals or birthday cards or whatever it is, she sacrificed her entire life for her family. And for me, I'm like, at what cost?
Yeah.
Her health, her vitality, her freedom, her expression. Now, to some degree, yes, all women, I guess I just don't really like the word sacrifice, because when you're in your feminine essence, the gifts that you offer your family, your spouse, your children, your community, it's not coming from a place of sacrifice. It's coming from a place of devotion. Sacrifice and devotion are two different things. And I think that as a culture, we need to become very honest and about the expectations that we have placed on women. And that a woman who is applauded for self-sacrificing herself to the point of illness and disease and loss of vitality and loss of authenticity, that's not something to be celebrated, in my opinion. I think, Brand, honestly, I think the feminine is exhausted. I think she's tired. I think that so much of her life force has been given away and has been suppressed. And, it's through years, centuries of suppression, of not being able to fully express her gifts, her healing capabilities, her voice, for being shamed for her body, for not having the same rights as men. And I say this like, I'm not a feminist in like we don't need men. I'm not that type of person, because a feminine in her true essence honors the masculine and honors the role that he plays. But I think that the feminine is just really, really tired because of so much of her life force being suppressed, so much of her life force being manipulated, being covered up. And I think that we are getting to a place right now in the world where the feminine is becoming sovereign. And she is no longer allowing that life force to be taken from her in a way that is manipulative, that is abusive, that is harmful. And I want to be a part of that for women. I want women to understand that they do not have to self-sacrifice in order to be worthy, in order to feel accomplished, that you can be an amazing mother and an amazing wife without having to sacrifice your health and your authenticity and your voice and your passions in life.
Yeah. One of the most tragic things that you and I both have witnessed is in talking to elderly women in their 70s or 80s, in the last chapters of their life, who say something to us to the effect of, I really don't know what I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know what my gifts are,
Mm-hmm.
what my talents are, what my interests are,
Mm-hmm.
because they have spent their entire life, like you said, self-sacrificing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it beautiful that these same women gave so much to their loved ones, to their spouses, to their kids, to their community, to their religion? Yes, it's beautiful.
For who?
Well,
I see what you're saying. It is.
because
it's at the heart. It's her love.
yeah, to that woman,
Mhm.
she is serving, she is loving,
Yeah.
and she is using gifts in that service and in that love for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, what I'm saying is it's also tragic and sad
Mm-hmm.
that resulted in her never truly knowing herself on a deep, deep level.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. And feeling safe to fully express
Yeah.
those pure feminine traits
Mm-hmm.
that are a part of her.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, through culture, through religion, through a masculine wound, that they were not put in an environment where those traits could be safely expressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was reading the other day, and this is just science. This is just data. Take it for what it is. But when a woman gets married, her life expectancy decreases by 4 to 6 years. When a man gets married, his life expectancy increases by 2 to 3 years. I'm just making an observation. I mean, take it for what it is.
Well,
but
how do you interpret that data?
Well,
I'm going to put you on the spot.
I think we have to get radically honest about why that is. About this mother wound that men carry and how they are asking of the feminine to heal that for them.
Yes.
And they're literally taking life force from their partners in order to heal that wound. And this is where sovereignty comes into play. Sovereignty for both men and women.
Yeah.
And that we've spoken about that relationships are the place for us to heal.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that you put on your spouse the obligation to heal them for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing that up, because I was going to say in comment to your making the beautiful point about the feminine being exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And what I believe, and I think you do too, if I understand you correctly, in what we have discussed. I'm not sure if you stated it outright here in this episode, but that is leading to like a global rise of the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
To a man, to the masculine who stands confidently but humbly in his power,
Mm-hmm.
and is in alignment with his masculine essence.
Mm-hmm.
Because what that tells me, what I see happening, is that rise of the feminine. Basically the feminine saying, all right, we've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it's going to do? It's going to force the masculine to rise up as well.
Yes.
The masculine's going to have no choice
Mm-hmm.
but to get their shit together
Mm-hmm.
and to heal and to transform and to step into their power
Mm-hmm.
and to become the men they were created to be.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, the feminine are awakening in a large amount right now, and it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see women stepping into their power, reclaiming sovereignty. Sovereignty is just a frequency.
Yeah.
And it's a frequency that is felt. And when women fully step into their sovereign power, the masculine has no choice but to well, he can either rise to that or he can continue to suck the life force out of the feminine. But a feminine in her sovereign will not allow that. You know, anciently, Brand, it has been prophesied that a woman, and this is meant metaphorically, but a woman will come and be the one who is going to basically heal the world because of what we just spoke to. That when a woman reclaims her power and her sovereignty and her truth and lives from her pure feminine traits, the masculine has to rise to that.
Yeah.
And it's the truth that we have been predominantly living in masculine energy in our culture for thousands of years. It didn't always used to be that way. The feminine, there were actual cultures and tribes and people who developed their whole entire communities around the feminine and didn't worship her in a way of like hierarchy, but recognized the gifts and the spiritual powers and the healing powers that the feminine had to offer.
And the love.
And
like one of the greatest gifts from the feminine is the flow of love.
And they recognized those, and they created ceremonies around them, and they worshiped the feminine, and they created rituals and ceremonies and practices, and they deeply honored and loved the feminine. And you know, we spoke about this in other episodes, but it wasn't until like monotheistic religions came to play and patriarchy and all those things that the feminine's gifts, her healing powers, her spiritual powers got hidden. And reclaiming that part in me has been the most beautiful and potent and I don't even have the word to express it, part of my journey.
Yeah. Can I just say, and it's with just sincere and genuine gratitude. I've told you this before, and I can feel my emotions as I prepare to say this, but I remember the moment that it hit me that it took you actually leaving Mormonism and religion and going through your evolutionary, transformational healing process, discovering your dharma, your purpose in at least in regards to your work of somatics and nervous system work and becoming a nervous system regulation practitioner and a somatics coach, that you actually became like you were able to become a healer. Like you were not able within religion, within Mormonism, to be the kind of healer that you are. Your natural, divine, innate gift of healing was suppressed in that environment because you didn't have the same opportunities or rights or privileges as a man who held the priesthood and who was therefore, who was deemed and looked at as a healer. You didn't have that opportunity. Now, you were definitely a healer your entire life. But I'm just saying, I remember when it hit me that how ironic that it was upon leaving religion that you were able to fully step into your divine gifts from your feminine essence in regards to healing.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think when anyone goes down any healing path, what healing I wish people understood this about healing, is that it's hard. And as a culture, we do not celebrate the death cycle. I mean that like metaphorically, the rebirth and the death cycle. And because we are nature, we celebrate that nature. We love the seasons. We love the death and the rebirth. But as a culture, we don't celebrate the death that we metaphorically experience. I wish it was celebrated more. I wish it was honored more.
Yeah. Because
people are stepping into themselves more fully during that death cycle. But where I was going with that is that healing creates, when you release survival energy from your body, and not when you release, but when you metabolize it, when you create space within yourself, what you are doing is you are creating space for gifts, for creativity, for expansion, for growth. So yes, healing is difficult. It's hard. It's a rebirth. It's a death. It's a rebirth. And in that rebirth, you are shown and given and can experience things about yourself that you didn't even know was there. And I tell people this, that your nervous system is the greatest investment you will ever make in this life. Because your nervous system is the driving force behind everything that you do. And your nervous system is also the system in your body that determines your creative flow, your creative expression, that reveals your gifts, that reveals your power. And so when people are thinking about like investments and money and where do I want to put my money? I mean, hands down, I would say it is the investment of your nervous system, because it determines every aspect of your life. It's the driving force behind everything that you do. And it's also the driving force behind everything that you can become.
So beautifully said.
Yeah.
And I agree 100%. Darci, if for our listeners, if someone out there is listening right now and they are recognizing or beginning to increase in awareness about having one or more of the wounds, the feminine wounds that you mentioned, what would you want them to know right now? Like, what can they do right now? What would you want them to know right now about that?
First, I would say take a deep breath. It's okay. You're not broken. You are not broken. And that, yes, a wound was created. A pattern, a survival pattern was, and a shadow was created from that wound. And it may have caused a lot of disruption and harm and hurt and pain throughout your life. But that, use that as your driving force to change and to evolve and to become the woman that you were designed and created to be. And that I believe in you. And I believe in this work. And that the beautiful thing about learning about the nervous system is that you come to a better understanding of why you are the way that you are. And that there is a path, a roadmap to step fully into your full feminine essence. And that's part of what I offer. My Holos signature method is a roadmap back to the essence of who you truly are. And it was born out of my own transformational experience and out of my love for the body, the wisdom of the body, and the innate and beautiful and powerful beings that women are.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Speaking of the creation potential that is within, that gets unlocked, that gets set free, that gets let loose when you heal these wounds, when you create space within yourself for expansion. You have recently created an ebook.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And I want you to tell our listeners about it. I'm so proud of you. And I want you to tell the listeners about the ebook that you created, how it can help them, what it's all about, where they can find it. I'm really excited about this. This has been a project you've worked so hard on, put a lot of time and love into, and yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, so I call it the Feminine Shadow Nervous System Integration Book. Born out of like my own experience of becoming aware of my shadows and how to integrate them through the lens of the nervous system. And so I talk about five shadows that become created based upon a feminine pure trait. And then I guide people through the process of learning how to integrate that shadow somatically. And so with each trait comes a shadow. And then with each shadow comes a nervous system state that shadow lives in, that's driving the behavior of that shadow. And then an integration pathway to heal that shadow and to bring that shadow into light in a safe way. And so there's an integration and a somatic roadmap for each of those shadows that, like I said, you can work on in small doses every single day by developing safety in your body and then working on repatterning and rewiring yourself so that that shadow, which is actually just your greatest, one of your greatest gifts, just wanting to be expressed. And so, yeah, it's an ebook. I don't know by the time if this podcast airs, if it will be available, but check back on my website, on my Instagram page of when the ebook will be available. It's my attempt at making healing more accessible for women who maybe can't afford therapy or who want to be able to do more of this deep integration work at home, which you should. I mean, healing doesn't happen, deep transformational experiences don't always necessarily and usually don't happen in session. They happen in the work that you are putting into yourself outside of session. And so this ebook is a guide to be able to do that. It's a guide to be able to help you, one, recognize your shadow, how the shadow was created, the initial wounding of that shadow, how that shadow has not served you, like the behaviors and the patterns that you maybe have lived by based upon that shadow, and then how to like really integrate it. And so based upon Holos, Holos, I developed like a 5-step system. This is in the ebook, but I'll share this part in there on how to integrate the shadow. So the H is for honor, like honor it for what it is. Honor that part of you for what it did to protect you and not shame it. When we shame our shadow, it just becomes more suppressed. So honor it and love it and thank it for how it protected you for so long. O is for observe the body cues. So like we spoke to earlier, the way that the shadow has left a pattern, a somatic pattern within inside of your body, and recognize the sensations in your body that are related to the shadow and observe them and notice, where does the shadow live in my body? L is lean into that discomfort. And this is where a therapist or a practitioner or a coach comes in very useful, because they can help you learn how to titrate between leaning into that discomfort of that sensation for a little bit and then grounding yourself back in safety. That's actually the safest, most productive way to integrate the shadow, is through just little doses here and there. So lean into the discomfort. O is to be open to expression. How does your shadow want to express in the world? Is it through your voice? Is it through movement? Is it through art? Probably some of the most beautiful artwork that has ever been created in this earth is from people expressing their shadow.
Mm.
And then S is for synthesize. And let that shadow become seen and expressed, and let it be seen in the world as your most beautiful, radiant gift. So Holos, yeah, you're always whole. And it's a method I developed to help you integrate those shadows and to see them as one of your most beautiful offerings that you could actually give the world. So I'm excited.
I love it, Darci. I'm so proud of you and excited for this to be released out into the world and to help so many people heal their feminine wounds and integrate their feminine shadows and return to wholeness. Remind our listeners where they can find you, where they can access your gifts, your healing medicine, your ability to schedule sessions, sign up for coaching packages. Where can they find you?
Yeah, just my website. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Okay.
www.holoshealing.info. You can reach out to me on Instagram. Just reach out to me if you feel like this is somatic work that your body has been asking for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all the knowledge and wisdom and love and all the creations you are coming up with, and just for being you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
Free to be me, free to sing sweet feathers and envelop me like a hug, whispering melodies.
You've played the part, fulfilled your role, built the business, carried the weight. But lately, something's off. The success you've created on the outside doesn't match how you feel on the inside. You're burnt out, disconnected, numb. This isn't weakness, it's a signal. It's not a crisis, it's a sacred opportunity. Getting Lost is Being Found is a coaching program where high-performing men rebuild from the inside out. Strength in your body, clarity in your mind, fire in your soul. Go to my Instagram at Getting Lost is Being Found and shoot me a DM, or click the link in the show notes if you're ready to transform yourself into the man you were meant to be. You're not broken. You're being called back to who you really are. The Safe to Be Seen podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Darci and Brandon Burke do not claim to be experts. We have no intention to defend our beliefs or impose them onto others. This podcast provides a space to allow for us to share with others what it's like to be us. We desire to share our human journey with others. We advise you to seek professional counsel, therapy, and/or treatment from trained, credentialed, and certified professionals for any emotional, mental, and/or physical conditions you may be experiencing.